Held the gun? I don't think so. It is not the boy who held the gun who pulled the trigger. The person who pulled the trigger are the ministers provoking that boy. Are the ministers who make inflammatory speeches. Ministers who should be booked under section 153. Ministers who should not be allowed to contest elections by the election commission if the election commission directs the police to file a FIR under section 153. It is them. But I also do not blame only the ministers. It is not them, sir, because the ministers are also acting under the instruction of a political master. I know some of the ministers, they are fair gentlemen. But there is a political master sitting right at top who is saying, who is giving his tacit approval, who is giving his silent approval to tell who's telling his MPs, please go as many inflammatory statements. Today also we've heard inflammatory statements being made about Mahatma Gandhi. We have heard on the floor of the House inflammatory statements being made about Nathuram Godse. None of this will happen unless there's a tacit approval from the top. Why is no action being taken against a union minister? Why is no action being taken against an MP? Today, sir, we felt pain. Parliamentary Affairs Minister talked about the decorum of the House. We felt pain when we had to walk out when the leading speaker of the first speaker of the BJP stood up to speak. Because, sir, this shows the attitude of the BJP. A person who is banned from campaigning by the election commission has been supported by the BJP to move the first person. Why should we listen to him? If the election commission has deemed that people of India, people of Delhi should not listen to that individual, then why should the parliament listen to that person's speech? That just shows, barred from campaigning, that just shows the attitude of the BJP towards the election commission and the norms of what governance and democracy means. Sir, my question is that today we as parliamentarians must be responsible. Have we stooped to this depth that for winning an election we can forget about smart city, digital Indias and jobs and GDP and roads and electricity? Are all these problems solved, sir? Is everybody getting 15 lakhs in the account? Is the problem of poverty gone? Is the problem of illiteracy over? Is the problem of unemployment gone? Is the problem of caste-based injustice gone? Is the problem of inequality gone? If these problems are gone, yes, then talk about all the issues that you want to talk about. Today, sir, I feel sorry. The first boy who was picked up by the police for shooting, his name was Rambhak Gopal. In today's India, the true Ravans are poverty, inequality, corruption and unemployment. Had Rambhak Gopal taken on these Ravans, I would have supported him. But unfortunately, the minds of many such young people are being polluted by an ideology based on hate and communal poison. That is why Congress party and other parties are saying that today we have to save India, save the idea of India, save the ideas of constitution, save the ideas of freedom. Because we can have a double-digit GDP, but if India does not remain India, then who are we? Does progress only mean that we have made roads and created electricity and given water? No doubt your government has done this job, but that is incremental. It's not as if toilets were not being built before. It was not as if roads were not being built before. It was not as if bank accounts were not being built before. Governance is a continuing process. Development is a continuing process. If you want to make more roads, give more jobs, I have no qualms with you. We will talk about who did more. Let's have a competition about who built more roads, who gave more jobs, who lifted people out of poverty, who created a glowing image of India. Let's have a discussion about who the real enemies of the people of India are. It's unemployment. It's inequality. People of small towns, rural towns, they are saying that here there is somebody who's driving a Mercedes, somebody is going to a big private school, and yet they have a college degree, but a young person cannot support his own family because he's not earning good income. That is the problem that we are facing today. Let us get away from the politics of poison and hate, and let us get to the politics of hope. That is what has taken India forward. It was hope that won India her freedom, not hate. It was hope that took India forward from independence through the troubled times of the Green Revolution, through the troubled times of the Cold War, through the troubled times of the Great Recession in 2008. It was always hope which will take a nation forward. You with your hate are taking India back. Please take us forward. That is my only and sincere request to you. At the end, sir, today people actually want that there has been a fair amount of infrastructure which has been created. There's a fair amount of health infrastructure being created. There are hospitals, there are schools, there are colleges, the health and education infrastructure is there. But what people want is a good economy. And we thought this government with its mandate, a good mandate that it got, 2019 Lok Sabha, I agree, you got a good mandate. And this is the budget you gave us. What is the point of getting such a big mandate if you cannot deliver a budget that takes India out of this economic troubles that we are in? You released a budget. Will the budget reverse the highest unemployment in the last 4 decades? The highest unemployment in the last 4 decades. Please remember that the next time you say कि देश के दुश्मन वो महिला है या वो छात्र हैं. The highest unemployment is the real enemy. The lowest GDP in the last 6 years. Will this budget reverse the lowest GDP in the last 6 years? No, it doesn't look like it. Will this budget reverse private investment? The way private investment was going down, you have reduced corporate tax rate. You have reduced corporate tax rate to 22%, 15% for new manufacturing companies. How much private investment has taken place? Your entire economic vision is empty, is devoid, and you're full of just pure rhetoric. You're famous for giving something with one hand and taking something from the other hand. Corporate tax, you're giving relief to corporate tax, but farmers are getting no relief. Why is farmers of India not getting a loan waiver? Why are farmers of India not getting massive investments, that the kind of investments, kind of benefit that you're giving to the corporate sector? So we will only help our Indian economy grow if we invest in rural India. If we invest in our farmers, if we invest in our small shops, if we invest in our small traders, if we neglect rural India, if you think that if the Prime Minister meeting 15 industrialists, top 15 industrialists in an Indian economy is solved, you're living in a fool's world. You're living in a fool's paradise. Those 15 top industrialists that the Prime Minister's meeting will not solve India's economic problems. The farmers of India, the laborers of India, the teachers of India, the civil society of India, they are the ones who can solve India's economy. And that is past. If you look at the time when India was growing in double digits during the UPA 1, UPA 2, you would see how rural India was growing. Rural India, the per capita consumption in rural India was sending the kids to school. They were buying new vehicles. They were expanding the capacity of their farms. They were getting into small Indias. It is when rural India grows, that's when the rest of India grows. But I don't know why the government has failed to see this and they keep distracted by what is coming on the headlines. Headline management can only take you so far, but the problems will not go away. We come here for 5 years. For 5 years, our responsibility is to develop a good government. A good government, and that's our number one responsibility. If we don't fulfill our number one responsibility, then there's no point of the power. With great power comes great responsibility. And I must say, you've wasted the first 5 years of 2014, and on the path that you have set out, you're going to waste the next 5 years. I compliment that while you are wasting your time in power, people of India are telling us that we must protect ourselves, that we must live in harmony, we must live in collective peace, that we must solve the real problems. And my faith is that in the end, neither you nor I, but it is the people of India who will lead the way forward. And let me again tell you that you might give us any threats, kitne bhi goli maar lo, kitne bhi aap bhashan de do, kitne bhi aap threat और धमकी दे दो, भारत के लोग डरने वाले नहीं हैं, ये आप समझ लो। ना भारत की महिला डरेगी, नहीं भारत का युवा डरेगा, ना भारत का किसान डरेगा, ना भारत का श्रमिक डरेगा। इन्हीं दो शब्दों के साथ मैं ये अपना भाषण समाप्त करता हूं। धन्यवाद। थैंक यू।
तिरु टी.आर. बालू।
Honorable Chairman, I rise to thank the Honorable President who has delivered the presidential address on 31st of last month. So really today, I am extremely happy